This week's movie is Anonymous. This week I saw the movie Anonymous. It's a fictional movie that tells us that William Shakespeare's works were more of a collaborative effort than anything else. The movie takes place during the reign of Queen Elizabeth I, which is a very interesting time in history. Her father was Henry VIII, who we all know was a womanizing bastard. This movie's more about Queen Elizabeth and the Earl of Oxford than it is William Shakespeare. The movie would lead you to believe that the Earl of Oxford is actually the man responsible for the works of William Shakespeare, and that Shakespeare was a front so this high-up political figure, the Earl of Oxford, could have his ideas expressed to the public. One of the most interesting things about the movie is that they portray William Shakespeare as a functioning illiterate. He can read, but he can't write. That was really interesting because I've never, seen that take before. I've heard stories that, it's a possibility. Most of the people in Shakespeare's life were illiterate. His parents were illiterate. All of his children were illiterate. So it's just kind of odd that this man would create all these works. Now that said, there are a lot of historical inaccuracies in this movie, and that makes it really hard to follow at times. The script could definitely use some work. They took stories throughout history and kind of added to them so that they could thicken the plot a bit. One thing they try to shove down your throat through the movie is that the Virgin Queen was actually not so much of a virgin. It's probably true that Queen Elizabeth was not a virgin, but they kind of lost me with the Elizabeth I having a child with her own child. I don't think that happened, but that's the miracle of the 1500s. They didn't keep the best records. It's all up to interpretation. Choose to believe everything that you see in the movie, or take a more realistic approach and chalk it up to a pretty decent work of fiction, but definitely not the greatest movie ever made. Wait until this one comes out on video. Out on DVD this week is The Change-Up, starring Jason Bateman and Ryan Reynolds. It's your classic body swap movie where they get switched around by some magical experience, then they have to live each other's lives for a couple days. I would definitely say pass on this movie. If you want a good body swap movie, The Hot Chick with Rob Schneider. It's a Happy Madison movie, so it's a little cheesy, but Anna Faris is in it, and she's pretty funny. Change up the change-up with The Hot Chick for body swap movies. On deck for next week is J.Edgar, starring Leonardo DiCaprio. This movie is about J.Edgar Hoover, the FBI frontman who was the thorn in so many American sides for so many years. It's directed by Clint Eastwood. I'm going to check it out. I'll tell you what I think.